Hi everyone, it's Rita. I am an Akashic record reader and accessor. And on my YouTube channel and TikTok channel, you'll see a lot of shares around humanity and accessing the Akasha, different things. And I try to put a lot of uplifting things in there. I've got a website I call Shine Your Inner Light that began with this whole desire to help uplift people or be part of uplifting people. And I think as we see the light in others, that light grows in us as well. So it's sort of like volunteering. It's all kind of selfish, right? Anyway, I want to share with you some galactic stories or ET stories or whatever, my experiences. Okay, so I lived in Sedona for a number of years. And when I first moved there, my niece came to visit me. And we did the UFO tour with Melinda Leslie. She's amazing. She's like speaks at an event called Contact in the Desert. She's very, very conscious person, a beautiful, beautiful soul. And so she's taken thousands of trips where she takes people out in Sedona with military goggles. And she also has these pen lights. And so she explains to you what you're seeing because you don't want to use one of these pen lights at a plane because you could blind the pilot. These lights go for miles. And my niece and I were wearing the goggles, and she's explaining everything you're seeing. And you start seeing, like, it looks like all these amoebas in the sky. Like, you could just see them just like moving around and stuff. So she said, those are the ones to try to engage with. So she said, flash your pen light 3 times. And we did. And the second time I did that, they flashed back 3 times. And I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. And I have a high channel, which means I'm clairaudient. So I hear stuff and I can communicate with unseen energies. And I hear them like somebody's talking to me, but in my head. And so I hear, because I had connected with the Arcturians. I actually had to look them up when I first went there because I heard them. I was asking, like, what's this COVID thing? What is all this about? The world is unraveling. And I heard that from the Arctur, I heard, we're giving you the keys back to your planet. And I was like, who are you? And they were like, we're the Arcturians. We've been assisting the planet since millennium, like thousands of years. And then there were places in Sedona where I would hike and I would connect in and I would get messages. And those messages are on my YouTube channel from the Arcturians. They're loving messages. We are so loved and supported by these energies off planet. And so it irritates me when I see people trying to create fear around ETs and stuff, right? And Melinda tells stories, of abduction stuff. And what I learned recently from her is that we also have, the United States has an abduction group where we follow abductees and we have the same technologies to see what's been done. And, just like, it's so interesting, right? It's hard to get your head around. So I always get my questions answered. And I'm just going to tell you my other experience with this. Anyway, so I was with Melinda Leslie, right? And we were on the tour. And I hear the Arcturians say, we're here, we're going to show ourselves. And I was like, oh, cool, And I don't say anything because I didn't want to, say anything. And so she's like, Melinda's like, I'm getting something. Something's going to happen, And I'm like, and so she's like, all of a sudden you see three of those like little amoebas, like lights, like they go into a triangle. And so she was like, they formed a formation. Look at the formation, and she has us all looking at this formation of the 3, right? And I'm like, okay, it was just, there's just so much activity around us, so anyway, she was just really excited about that. I wanted to see like the big ship land next to us or something, right? So that didn't happen. But they seemed to go in and out of this area over by Bell Rock. And I did subsequent tours with her, with my friend Alex, and on my own. because there's a documentary that it's, or there's some things coming out this year from a very reputable news group about all this. So anyway, so like, and now they're even more active. So this last year when I went, there's a lot of activity in another area. It's active all over that area, but over an area called Secret Mountain, which is real. I mean, it's real. It's so funny. It's like out of a movie, right? You see military craft and other craft going in and out over the mountain. And at any one time, you'll see 6 or 8 craft in the air. Now, the military craft have several lights on them so you can see. And then when the ships leave the atmosphere, the burners come on, and the certain gauge of heat will change the color of the burner. So you'll see, you can't see it with the military goggles, the goggles that, but you can see it if you drop them. You'll see the amber and blue, these different colors and stuff. Well, I mostly saw amber that night, but literally we went to another spot. We were there till midnight, and it was just all this activity going on. And so supposedly they're moving a lot of the ships from other bases there because they just want, I don't know, like why all that. I mean, it's maybe part of the disclosure. I don't know. I mean, that's sort of what was shared with me, but who knows, right? But you see it, and it's all every night, So, and it's, they have a new term instead of UFO, UAP. I forget what UAP stands for, but the craft could be stuff that we've re-engineered. It could be piloted by us or ETs, So the other thing, because my questions always get answered, is the other story I have that I'll tell you is I was on a flight, and it was a long flight. It was like a cross-country flight. I ended up sitting next to a guy who when he found out I was living in Sedona, started talking to me more because he had a home there, building a home there, right? And he was part of like, I don't really want to say any of the names of anyone, so I'm going to be a little bit vague here, but involved with like Silicon Valley with cybersecurity and stuff like that at a C level, like an executive level and stuff. Very, very nice guy. We talked about all sorts of stuff about our families. We were showing pictures of each other. We just had this really cool conversation that also involved this idea around ETs. And the conversation around the ETs started out by talking about, Rita, there are as many planets around. The scientists will tell you there are as many planets around you as grains of sand on the Earth. So just think about that. Think of how many grains of sand on the Earth. Scientists will say, we have that many planets around us, right? So anyway, so just expand your mind this way, right? And then he was explaining to me that we have these deep underground military bases all over the country that are connected with a light rail system that's very fast. Like you can get from Austin to Vegas in 15 minutes. And then these bases go down miles, like 3 to 7 miles in the ground. I mean, try to get your head around that, right? And in some of the bases, we're working with ETs, and in some of the bases, we're working on ETs. And I started asking him about super soldiers. And if you're not familiar with super soldiers, I think it's James Rinkner. It was on YouTube, but YouTube took it off. But it's an interview with him. I think it's on Rumble. And more people are writing about this because I think what's happening is these soldiers in our military, they erase their minds when they come out. But a lot of these guys are the ones that have a lot of trouble drinking a lot and getting reacclimated into society. And they start doing healing work like Reiki and energy work, not the VA work. And they start having memories of being off planet. And so we talked about that, we have a base on Mars, and we have a base on the moon. So some of these people, when they don't share that stuff with you, that are, quote, like experts in this area, I just, I don't know why, they're not sharing this with you. You can even look at some of the interviews with, I lived in Virginia, Warner, Senator Warner, John Warner was my senator. He was the one married to Elizabeth Taylor and had, he was a Navy background guy. And so he was at the Pentagon a lot. And his son talks about, quote, disclosure and about going to the Pentagon with his dad when he was young. And there are ETs working at the Pentagon. He talks about this. I mean, I think it was after the bombing of Hiroshima and stuff that the ETs were like, you're not going to blow up your planet, and we created an agreement. And I think it was during the Eisenhower administration with the ETs. And so we work with them. And they, even in the film that I've been working on, the woman who does our photos and stuff, she's identifies as Palladian. She's beautiful. She's beautiful light, beautiful soul, so kind and loving. So I've been told I have ETs in my life, and of course I know what Liz, shares and what she remembers and stuff. So maybe it's hard. I mean, it was hard for me to get my head around this. So I had this long conversation with this guy on the plane, and then and we talked about how there's, we have a base on Mars, we have a base on the moon, that we're part of it's with other it's with people or energies or ETs from other planets, however you want to call that. And we talked about some of the types of ones that are there. And James Rinkner talks about that in his experience, because he was off planet for a while. And time is supposedly different. I don't know a lot of those details, but it's just when people act like they're knowledgeable about this and they don't go into this kind of detail, then I don't know why. Like the guy that's trying to sell you on how to access them through some prayer. I mean, they're right there. Like, I mean, I think you just, however you want to engage them, you could just engage them. I mean, but it's up to you, like everything is higher levels of consciousness. Like Melinda says, on some level, she has agreements with a lot of stuff. And I believe that. I believe we're very conscious of certain agreements, and then we have these unconscious agreements as well. So and my friend, my new friend, as we're getting off the plane, he leans over and he's kind of a very strong, very handsome man. And he's just like, you may not believe this, Rita, but we're part of a galactic federation. And I was like, dude, after everything we talked about, if we're not part of a galactic federation, I'd be very upset and surprised, right? So, I mean, the idea is that we are working with ETs. They're working with us. We're learning. And it's nothing to be feared. And so the next day I couldn't wait to call a friend of mine who did services work at top secret level clearance with the military. And so I was like, I had to talk to him. And so told him all this stuff, and he was like, I was like, is this true? And he's just like, I can't believe he told you all that. And I was like, is it true? And he was like, yeah. He said, but most people would be hard to get their head around that. And some people might actually commit suicide and stuff. So, anyway, it's a 14-minute video if you watch the whole thing. And if you did, hopefully you can expand your mind. What I know is that we are loved and supported. And you'll hear stories of, like, I heard stories even like when the Ukraine war started, that there were some potential nuclear missiles that were launched, and they disappeared in the air. What I'm telling you, I'm getting full body chills right now. We are loved and supported. There is nothing that's going to happen to this planet. The energies that are working on our planet and off our planet are not going to let that happen. And the more that we can visualize this planet thriving, as the vibrations increase, we're going to see new plant species. We're going to see, new animals, because there's a lot of high vibrating stuff on our planet that, depending on where we're vibrating, we can connect with or not connect with. So good things are coming. Visualize the earth the way it was in the beginning, with the sea full of whales. It was so thick with whales and dolphins, and the crystal clear, beautiful streams, and beautiful huge pine trees, and eagles flying. And one of the things I love to do is go in and be with my inner child. And years ago, she took me up a back staircase in my heart, and we went to a place that was like a cave opening. And we stood there looking out at the earth as it was in the beginning. And she grabbed my hand and we flew. And so I like to go up there and fly with her around the earth. I haven't done that in a while. Maybe I'll do that later today. Just know how loved and supported you are, and that no one is out there to harm you. These ETs are not trying to do anything negative. We've had an agreement with them. We've co-create with them, and you are loved and supported.